could you tell us whether, the US has obviously said the South African case against Israel is meritless, but you also said, in your statements related to the case that the ICJ is an important judicial organ, plays a vital role in peaceful settlement of disputes. So, ahead of this ruling, is there anything you would say regarding, if provisional measures are sort of advised by the court, should parties abide by them?
I would not opine on anything like that, given that this is a legal process, and I'm not going to hypothesize or speculate on any kind of outcome. What I will just say again, and we spoke to this when the arguments are ongoing, is that the allegations that Israel is committing genocide we believe to be unfounded, but simultaneously we will continue to make clear with our partners in Israel that they not only need to comply with international humanitarian law as it conducts this operation against Hamas, but they also have a moral and strategic imperative to take feasible steps, additional steps to prevent civilian harm, and that they also have a responsibility to investigate credible allegations of violations of international humanitarian law when they arise. But I'm not going to get ahead of the process on this.
But does following international humanitarian law extend to following international law when the one of the world's courts that can enforce international law rules on something? Should countries be expected to follow that?
I have no way to ascertain or guess what the ruling might be, so I'm just going to refrain from.
But in general,
that suggests that you're waiting to see what the decision will be, and then you'll decide whether you agree with the verdict or not. If you don't agree with it, then you'll say no. But yet, in many other cases, particularly one that comes to mind is China, the Philippines, and the South China Sea.
You have called for the Chinese to respect those decisions. Are you saying now that you're withholding judgment on whether countries should obey?
Not at all. Over the course of this,
the ICJ?
Over the course of this, we've been pretty clear that it's our expectations that all parties, including the government of Israel, comply with international humanitarian law. I will note, though, that throughout all of this, Hamas certainly has not been. But what I'm saying is I'm not going to opine on any forthcoming ruling on this, and I will reiterate again that at the crux of this, when these arguments started the week before last, it was rooted in this notion that and these allegations that Israel is committing genocide, and I will say again that we find those allegations to be unfounded.
But in general, when a court is ruling on something, you can argue that you don't agree with South Africa's argument, but it sort of undermines the legitimacy of the whole system if the US is not saying ahead of time whether this ruling is meaningful or whether you would expect countries to follow it. And just to note, Hamas has said that they would follow, if the ICJ demanded a ceasefire, they would follow it. I haven't seen that statement from the Israelis.
Hamas has also said that they would release hostages, and they've not done so in that regard as well, Simon. So I sort of take issue with your question, reflecting Hamas as some kind of fair or credible interlocutor or actor in this. Again, I will just say, and you've heard me say this before, our expectation is that Israel needs to and must comply with international humanitarian law, but I'm not going to get ahead of tomorrow's or any expected ruling on this.